Hi, my name is Diego, and today I'm gonna talk about Roald Dahl. He was born in Llandaff in Oxford on September 13 in 1916, and he died in November 23 in 1990s. He was a Welsh novelist, storyteller, poet, and a screenwriter of British. Among his most popular works are like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, James and the Giant Peach, Matilda, The Great Giant, and The Witches and Tales of the Unexpected. So he also wrote different stories like The Way to Heaven Up. This is the story of Mr. and Mrs. Foster, a couple who like unfold in the streets of New York. In a cold and a great time, Mr. Foster suffers from anxiety, and her husband only take like advantages to make her late to all his obligations. He did he did the impossible. To Mrs. Foster, anxiety reached the highest levels. At one time, he wanted to travel to Paris to see her daughters and, the most importantly, his grandchildren. She loved them and dreamed of sharing unforgettable moments with them. When Mrs. Foster was going to take her flight due to the weather issues, she couldn't travel, so she had to wait for the next morning. And her husband, like with very little lose the f- with very little to lose the flight, decided to go looking for a gift. That in the end, the lady she had in the code. So Mrs. Foster, to despair, just leave him at home, and she go to take the flight. So he was with the grandchildren and his daughter for 6 weeks, and when he returned, the author gave us like the feeling that Mr. Foster died, as the author tell us in the title of the chapter, "The Road to Heaven" or the Way to Heaven Up. He tell us about the road to heaven in aspects like trips to other countries, the anxiety, and the despair leaves the reader feeling very intense. It is very interesting because the author leads to a possible end, and it is shocking how the story ends. In fact, the mixture between the title of the story led us initially to a journey to a possible death of Mr. Foster. So to conclude, Mrs. Foster feels satisfaction in the end, and the author just tell us like the lady, um, to the way she rests and sits down to wait for them to repair the elevator. So it was a interesting story, and with multiple ends. And I think the author, who is Roald Dahl, create like motivating, fantastic stories that inspire the writer to create his own end. Like okay, so he put the story, and finally you have to end the story. So for me, it's very interesting. All of the stories are very incredible, and that's it. So um, I hope you guys enjoy the video and the reading, and also I strongly recommend to read that author, because I think it's very good.